I just wanted to be something random. I wanted to think outside of the box. And, you know, I thought a rainworm would be kind of fun. We all know worms.
FDA-approved Lizzo makes you feel good about your weight, and it costs 90% less than Ozempic.
Facelift. Face.
Oh, Jesus. That's my real skin!
That guy just said, give me a pass. Scoot back.
Boy, you're in the way.
But the silver lining of this cloud, of course, is
you could probably learn from Julianne Hough, Bill Maher, Heidi Klum, and Colton Haynes how not to offend folks this Halloween season. So it's one thing for a celebrity to dress up as another celebrity, because most of them are friends. But to dress up as a passed-on version of a celebrity, that's where I draw the line. But apparently Bill Maher doesn't agree, because the television host chose to dress up as the late, great crocodile hunter Steve Irwin, who passed away when a stingray's barb pierced his heart. And his costume included the barb itself protruding from his chest. But look, if that doesn't make you mad enough, because I'm already furious, the Australian animal lover only passed on in September of 2006, and Bill wore the costume that Halloween, less than 2 months after his untimely end, which was insulting, not only to fans of the animal expert, but to Irwin's very real friends and family. Like, think of them, folks. Think. Julianne Hough received quite the mixed reviews when she dressed up as Uzo Aduba's Orange is the New Black character, Crazy Eyes, back in 2013. So Julianne Hough was wearing the orange jail jumpsuit, and she paired it with Crazy Eyes' iconic knotted hairstyle and painted her face brown, which led to a lot of folks being like, girl, that's blackface, it's bad. There is a history of blackfacing in the US. That's where white actors wear darker makeup in order to portray black stereotypes. There's also a history of discrimination against African Americans in movie, television, and theater industries. So when you think about all of that in history, Julianne's costume was really in bad taste. Now, she did have a statement to say. She said, I'm a huge fan of Orange is the New Black, the actress Uzo Aduba, and the character she has created, and she said it was certainly never my intention to be disrespectful or demeaning to anyone in any way. I realize my costume hurt and offended people, and I truly apologize. Now, Uzo Aduba, for her part, did address the controversial costume in November, telling E! News that she didn't hold any grudge towards Julianne, saying that she thinks maybe it was an unfortunate event, but since Julianne apologized, I felt like we could all move on. Now, Julianne Hough is far from the only celebrity to mess with her skin tone as part of a Halloween costume. Let's see, country singer Jason Aldean once went as Lil Wayne for Halloween. Designer Alessandro Dell'Acqua went as, you know what, I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments what you think, because whatever it is, doesn't look good, but I can't quite figure it out. Heidi Klum's Halloween costumes are always unforgettable, but she'd probably give up hosting her iconic Halloween parties if it meant we could all collectively forget the time she dressed up as a Hindu goddess. Kylie. So in the past, Heidi Klum has had like so many amazing costumes. She once did that whole no skin thing. She did Lady Godiva. Pretty sure she did Princess Fiona. She was a worm. She nails it. Not only are her costumes unique and edgy, but you can just tell the amount of love she has for Halloween. But her costume in 2008 was, sure, well put together, but it was the whole concept rather than how it was done that left folks upset, because a lot of folks felt like she was disgracing a sacred figure, not honoring a sacred figure. So Heidi donned multiple arms and painted herself blue in her bid to become Kylie, who was the goddess of passing on, time, and doomsday. But what upset people the most was her belt with heads and arms hanging off of it. There was a Hindu and Indo-American statesman who released a statement saying that the goddess Kali is not to be used in clubs for publicity stunts, thrown around loosely for dramatic effects, and you got a point. In October of 2016, Hilary Duff and her then boyfriend took their relationship public at the Casamigos Halloween party, and their outing caused a lot of chitter chatter. But not for being a couple. The pair was slammed on social media for cultural appropriation after Hilary Duff dressed up as a sexy pilgrim, and her boyfriend wore a Native American chief costume. The Disney Channel star wore a skimpy black top, hat, and boots, and boyfriend donned red face paint, a headdress with feathers, and tan suede pants. Don't do this, folks. The Liz McGuire alum later apologized on Twitter, writing, I am so sorry to the people I offended with my costume. It was not properly thought through. I am truly from the bottom of my heart sorry. But this couple isn't the only one to have this whoopsie in history. Paris and Nikki Hilton have gotten in a lot of trouble for dressing up as stereotypes in different years, which communicate, girls. Ellie Goulding got a lot of backlash for a costume she wore to a Halloween party at the Bacardi Triangle in 2014, which included a elaborate headdress seen in a since-deleted photo she posted to Insta. Oh, and after a Halloween-themed March of 2021 episode of Real Housewives of Atlanta, Kenya Moore wore a headdress. And after that, she apologized to the public, and so did Bravo. Kelly Dodd and husband Rick Leventhal were criticized for dressing as Alec Baldwin and a Native American for Halloween in 2021. This was shortly after Baldwin was involved in that accidental passing on the set of his film Rust. Now, Leventhal defended his costume, saying, "In no way was I trying to offend anyone, except Alec Baldwin. He's a jerk and deserves all the heat he's getting." Now, Dodd, who has claimed in the past that she's part Native American, said her costume was simply a celebration of her heritage, saying, "I think the fashion is beautiful and this was a tribute and celebration." But when you put two and two together, it's not exactly making a beautiful number. Actor Colton Haynes issued an apology after completely transforming himself into different races, not once, but twice. In 2011, he painted his face black to channel Kanye West, and in 2012, he painted himself brown for a Gandhi costume. In a streaming video chat from 2012, he did apologize for his past costume choices, saying, "I've gotten in trouble for a few of my costumes in the past, and I wasn't aware that I was offending people. That wasn't my intention at all, and I hadn't apologized for that, but I want to apologize now. That will never happen again." Now look, Colton was very notorious for going all out for Halloween costumes. Loved Miss Piggy, there was Ursula, there was Marge Simpson, Princess Fiona, like, it's great, just yeah, stick to cartoon characters, dude. Once upon a time, Lily Allen was trying to decide what to be for Kate Hudson's Halloween party. It was in like 2014, and out of all the options, she decided to go as Dr. Luke. And this was right after Kesha accused him of SA. So the singer's Halloween getup consisted of a teal, set of doctor scrubs, showed off her midriff, because, gotta be cutesy. She had a stethoscope around her neck, she had shiny slip-on shoes, she had a bag, but there was a name tag. It was reading Dr. Luke Gynecology Department. So Lily got rightfully called out for this costume being in poor taste and for trivializing a serious subject. She did this literally the same year that Kesha filed the explosive lawsuit against Dr. Luke in California that claimed SA and battery, including that one incident where he allegedly forced her to take illegal substances and then harmed her afterwards. And there was another where he violently thrashed his arms at her, which led her to run barefoot down the Pacific Coast Highway to try and escape. The lawsuit also accused Luke of long-term emotional and psychological harm involving fat shaming. Kesha's claims that Luke's treatment caused her severe depression, PTSD, social isolation, panic attacks, we could go on, and she was requesting in that lawsuit to be released from a record deal with Dr. Luke, claiming his alleged actions were a breach of contract. Well, it wasn't until 2024, this year, that Kesha was finally able to release Joyride, her first single as an independent artist. So when you look back, almost 10 years ago, for Lily Allen to make that choice, very poor taste. From silly antics to outrageous comments, Snooki was the breakout star of Jersey Shore. So when it came time for the pint-sized reality starlet to select a Halloween costume, she knew her pick would get everybody talking. While browsing through a New Jersey boutique in 2010, Snooki apparently found a couple of ensembles that caught her eye. Among them, the face on the milk carton topper. So this was a milk carton headpiece that has a missing label, along with a fake telephone number. Look, I'm just saying, the Minnie Mouse ears would have been a safer choice.
At number 10, we have Shaun White as Simple Jack. Three-time Olympic champion Shaun White had to apologize to the Special Olympic Committee after he received backlash over his choice of Halloween costumes back in 2018 when the American snowboarder posted a photo of himself dressed up as Simple Jack. Now, Simple Jack is a disabled character played by Ben Stiller in the 2008 movie Tropic Thunder. At the time, Tropic Thunder was condemned for its disrespectful portrayal of Simple Jack's character. The Special Olympic Chair Board would come out to say that they were truly disappointed that the Olympian would choose this costume, which is so offensive and caused so much pain. Shaun would later come out to say that he owed everybody in the Special Olympic community an apology for his poor choice of Halloween costumes the other night. It was a last-minute decision and it was a wrong one. The Special Olympics are right to call me out on it. They do great work supporting many tremendous athletes, and I'm so sorry for being so insensitive. Lesson learned. Now, disabilities are not a joke or a punchline, so you should definitely reconsider your costumes before you end up discriminating the community. At number 9, we have Julianne Hough as Crazy Eyes from Orange is the New Black. Now, Julianne and several other friends decided to dress up as inmates from the hit series Orange is the New Black. Now, it wouldn't have been such a big deal, however, the former Dancing with the Stars pro donned blackface as part of her costume. The whole world would lose its mind shortly after, and Julianne appeared to have darkened skin on her face and neck, as well as having her hair tied up in the character's signature naughty braid. Now, Julianne would later come out to say that she loves Orange is the New Black and she loves the character Crazy Eyes, and she would then tweet that it was never her intention to be disrespectful or demeaning to anybody in any way. She also noted that she realized her costumes hurt and offended people and that she was truly sorry for it. Now, with the Black community being constantly suppressed by white communities, Julianne should have known better than to do something so hateful. At number 8, we have Nikki Hilton as a Native American. Harris Nikki Hilton drew some huge criticism with her Native American costume. When many people called her out on insulting First Nations people, the star even refused to make a comment about it. To natives, it's more than just a costume, it's more than culture. The symbols of Native American headdresses and outfits are sacred, and they carry them a sense of honor and victory that's difficult to convey to non-natives. With the depth and magnitude of cultural genocide and active prosecution of Native people, the headdress represents the life, the land, and the liberty they sacrifice for these cultural pieces to be passed on across generations. Now, not to mention, considering we wiped out their culture by stealing their community's children, it's inappropriate and inexcusable to play, perform, and pretend at parties that were part of the community with these sacred markers. What's even more disappointing is that Nikki never apologized for her actions. At number 7, we have Hilary Duff as a pilgrim. So back in 2016, Hilary Duff and her boyfriend Jason Walsh definitely showed up to Casamigos Halloween party in the most tone-deaf costumes the world has ever seen. Hilary would come as a pilgrim, and her boyfriend would show up as a Native American chief. The Huffington Post would then point out that the internet was so quick to point out how insensitive their looks were, and how even more offensive it was knowing the relationships between pilgrims and Native Americans were. One person then went on to tweet, "No, Hilary Duff, traditional dress is not a costume, and you being dressed as a pilgrim proves to me how insensitive and ignorant you are." Hilary would then come out to say that she was so sorry and she didn't think her costume out properly, but this whole situation was just inexcusable, so it doesn't matter how much she apologized, no one would ever be satisfied with it. At number 6, we have Heidi Klum as a Hindu goddess. When Heidi Klum decided it was a good idea to dress as a Hindu goddess for Halloween, she definitely ruffled a few feathers. So, goddess Kylie is highly revered in Hinduism, and she's meant to be worshipped in temples and not to be used in clubs for publicity stunts or thrown around loosely for a dramatic effect. Now, Hindus have always been welcome to Hollywood and other entertainment industries to immerse themselves in Hinduism, but when they do it, they need to take it seriously and act respectfully. You can't just use religion for decorating or to advance a selfish agenda. Heidi chose to remain quiet on the issue and never chose to make an official apology to the Hindu community, which was highly disappointing. At number 5, we have Pamela Anderson as a Native American. I don't know what's more outrageous, the fact that Pamela Anderson thought it was okay to dress as a Native American, or the fact that she tried to justify her actions with it. When Pamela posted to her Instagram wearing a headdress, which is typically worn by male leaders for ceremonial purposes, Pamela's costume would spark some major criticism by people who accused the former Baywatch star of being racially insensitive. One user would even call out Pamela by tweeting, "It's not hard to just dress as thousands of other non-harmful things, but I guess that ship has sailed at this point." Anderson would then refuse to comment on the controversy, however, she would tweet a link that was titled "The Logic of Cultural Appropriation." We all know that was uncalled for, and the star should have known better. At number 4, we have Ashley Benson as a lion. So in 2015, Ashley Benson decided to dress up as a lion. However, what could have been such a cute costume was quickly met with controversy when she captioned the pic and made a reference to the slain Cecile the lion. Cecile was a beautiful male lion that made headlines that summer after he was slain in Zimbabwe by a Minnesota dentist. After 7 users would call out Ashley's caption offensive and would tell her that it was just a bad taste decision for the star, she would then change her caption to just say lion. Now, Ashley did issue an apology and said, "Yesterday's post was a poor taste and I absolutely regret all of the hurt that the photo caused. The caption that was posted was incorrect and my costume was not Cecile the lion." She then tried to say that it was her management team that handles her post and that she had them change it immediately. But do we actually believe that it was her management team, or do we think it was her? Let me know in the comments below. At number 3, we have Kylie Jenner as an Eskimo. Kylie Jenner looked cold as ice when she decided to wear an Eskimo costume back in 2015. The star could be seen wearing a white fluffy miniskirt and a matching fluffy hooded crop, and she even paired the outfit with her fuzzy white boots. However, Kylie would then be called out for having bad taste and for being culturally insensitive. Kylie's first photo would caption on Instagram as an Eskimo, but after the outrage, she would then change it to Snow Princess. This would end up insulting the Native community even more because the term Eskimo is often considered a slur power for Native Americans and First Nations people throughout the northern regions. At number 2, we have Colton Hines. Colton is notorious for going all out for his Halloween costumes. However, in 2011, Colton thought it'd be cute to wear a long gold chain, black sweatsuit, and even gold rimmed glasses completed with blackface so he could be Kanye West for Halloween. And then the next year, he would be pictured as Gandhi. Colton would come out to say in a streaming video that he's gotten in trouble for a few of his costumes in the past and he wasn't aware that it offended people. And it was never his intention at all. That he wanted to apologize now. At number 1, we have Kim Kardashian as Aliyah. Last weekend, Kim Kardashian didn't hold back when it came to her Halloween costume. The reality star has pulled off all the stops by opting to dress not as one, but 3 different music icons. However, one of those icons would be a late R&B artist, Aliyah. In a video later posted to Kim's Twitter, she would even caption the video as baby girl Aliyah. Now, in the past, Kim has come under fire for displaying a lack of sound judgment when it comes to race, and it's no lie that the Kardashian-Jenner clan has a laundry list when it comes to controversial and appropriation offenses. So it came to no surprise that Kim's costume would cause a stir. One person would even go tweet, "Legend or not, Aliyah is a black woman and you're not. It's offensive and you just shouldn't push its limits." Kim has yet to release an apology, but when it comes to this family, don't hold your breath because they always refuse to talk about their culture appropriation offenses.
Starting off at number 10, we have Lily Allen. This one is straight up nasty. Singer Lily Allen showed up for Kate Hudson's huge 2014 Halloween party dressed as Dr. Luke. You know, the guy that Kesha accused of being inappropriate with her. And my first thought was, was this costume before or after Kesha had come out against him? Because if it was before, it would be a different story and she definitely wouldn't have gotten as much backlash. But it wasn't. And Lily Allen decided to dress up as Dr. Luke in the middle of the massive legal battle Kesha and he were facing. Lily wore scrubs and a name tag that read Dr. Luke, along with other medical-esque accessories. But the worst part was that Lily had a name tag that said that Dr. Luke was part of the quote gynecology department, making it abundantly clear that she knew that he was being called out for being inappropriate. Immediately after the costume was revealed, she got tons of necessary backlash because it was really poor taste and just completely unnecessary. Why insert yourself into something that just you don't need to be there, Lily Allen.
At number 9, Julianne Hough. Halloween 2013 was not a good time to be Julianne Hough as she attracted some negative buzz surrounding her costume. In the getup she wore to a Hollywood Halloween party, Julianne was seen dressed as Crazy Eyes from Orange is the New Black. All well and good other than the fact that she was doing blackface as part of the costume. As the character of Crazy Eyes is played by Uzo Aduba, a black actress, Julianne sought out to recreate the look by darkening her skin tone to match the character, as well as tying her hair up in knots to mimic the hairstyle of Crazy Eyes' character. Obviously, this didn't sit well with people and Julianne issued several apologies for her actions. Uzo Aduba actually publicly addressed the situation, saying that she forgives Julianne and asking for people to move on from it. But following this controversial costume, Julianne's picture in this outfit now falls on the list of what not to wear for Halloween.
In at number 8, Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian got tons of backlash after she dressed up as Aaliyah in 2017, with people thinking she was culturally appropriating or blackfishing. But from what I saw, she didn't darken her skin tone at all. As a response to the backlash, she issued an apology, writing, quote, "I saw online that some people thought my costume was in poor taste, and I'm truly sorry if that offended anyone. When I was creating the costume, I wasn't dressing up as a race or culture, but rather as a woman whom I always admire." Adding, quote, "We don't see color in my home, it's all love and respect." But people had issues with that last part, saying that race is important and ignoring it isn't the way to go either.
At number 7, Chris Brown. In another round of tasteless actions from Chris Brown comes his Halloween costume from 2012. To attend an LA costume party hosted by Rihanna, Chris showed up wearing a costume based on the clothing worn by members of the Taliban. Chris and his friends showed up to the party dressed as terrorists, donning turbans, machine guns, and ammunition. He and his friends posed in their bearded costumes before arriving at the party, where they kept the outfits and took pictures with other big-name celebrities. Upon arriving, the only thing that Chris changed out of was his beard. I don't think I need to highlight why this is wrong because it should be quite obvious, but just hearing the phrase that someone dressed up like a terrorist should make you groan with frustration. As images of the singer hit the internet, people were outraged. One Twitter user wrote, "Just in case you needed another reason to hate Chris Brown, behold this Halloween Halloween costume. This offensive night out just came a few years after his reported battery of his ex-girlfriend Rihanna.
And at number 6, Tia Mori. Tia Mori decided to dress up as a Japanese geisha for her 2013 Halloween party, and people online were not happy. In the comments of her Instagram photo, the reviews were pretty mixed, with some people defending her, while others were calling her out for cultural appropriation, with people writing things like, quote, "My race and the races of others are not a costume for a cheesy holiday," and quote, "Please do some research on cultural appropriation. Geisha costumes are not cool, girl."
At number 5, Heidi Klum. Heidi Klum is pretty well known for her extravagant Halloween costumes. Once spooky season rolls around each year, you're bound to see her go all out for the occasion, but there came a time where she went a little too far with her costume choice. In 2008, Heidi dressed up as the Hindu goddess Kylie, and it did not go over well. Many people of the Hindu faith took great offense to Heidi's costume and even requested that Heidi issue an apology for having posed as the sacred figure. The costume, which was awarded Best Costume of the Night, had condemned Heidi by the Hindu community, as some said that the figure of Kylie should be worshipped in temples and, quote, "not used in clubs for publicity stunts or thrown around loosely for dramatic effects, as she is seen as a very important figure in their religion."
In at number 4, Scott Disick. Scott Disick got a ton of backlash in 2014 after he decided to dress up like a Middle Eastern sheik, with people commenting that people's cultures are not a costume. The caption on his Instagram photo said, quote, "Happy Halloween, we getting Arab money tonight." But the crazy part is that his Instagram wasn't the one that was flooded with negative comments. Instead, it was Chloe's Instagram that got that response, as she posted a photo of the two of them together and captioned the photo, quote, "Chic pussy." And the reason for that is because she was dressed up as a cat and he was a sheik, and you know, put that together, I guess. With a deleted scene of Keeping Up showing the aftermath of the situation, with Scott telling Courtney that the hate got out of hand with Chloe's post, not his. Adding, quote, "But on my Instagram I posted a picture of my chic outfit and everyone loved it." With Courtney commenting that because Scott is known for being pretty outlandish, his followers probably expect something different from him than Chloe.
At number 3, Paris Hilton. At a Playboy Mansion Halloween party in 2010, Paris Hilton showed up wearing a sexy Native American costume. Yeah. We've heard people say this many times, but dressing like a Native American is not a costume, it's just offensive. Paris came to the party in her costume complete with feathered headdress, and people were calling her out for it. Dressing in a Native American costume not only appropriates the culture, but it also trivializes the Native American people who already experienced discrimination, as well as a history of atrocities put onto them and their ancestors. Their culture is not a costume, as many people say. On top of that, we've also seen the trope of the so-called sexy Indian so many times, and this is not only disrespectful to the Native people, like I said, but also to Native women who already face the stigma of being hypersexualized. Though these kinds of costumes are still paraded around on Halloween, many more people have become more conscious of their actions, and I'm assuming that Paris is in the same boat after facing the backlash from this costume.
In at number 2, Snooki. Snooki is best known from her Jersey Shore days, when her outrageous antics and big personality catapulted her to fame. But since Snooki started out as a regular girl and not a celebrity, it makes sense that she would have a big miss in the Halloween costume department. And that's exactly what happened in 2010 when Snooki decided to dress up as a girl on a milk carton, by wearing a milk carton on her face with a hole cut out, and with the words "missing" plastered above it. And if you didn't already know, milk cartons were a popular way to publicize that a child was missing back in the 1980s, and showing missing children on the side of milk cartons was a popular practice until the late 1990s. So obviously a huge miss from Snooki.
At number 1, Colton Haynes. Colton Haynes is a lot like Heidi Klum in the sense that he goes all out for Halloween. His costumes lately have been quite extravagant, including intricate costumes and prosthetics. But also much like Heidi, he's faced backlash for his costume choices, as they were seen as deeply offensive. 2 cases of such come from his past costumes as being Kanye West and Mahatma Gandhi. Colton dressed as the rapper in 2011 and as Gandhi in 2012, and both times he sported black or brown face. He darkened the skin on his face and arms to play the part, which led to a lot of backlash, but people were also upset that he dressed as Gandhi because of his significance. Coming out of those costumes, Colton issued an apology in 2013, saying that he was taking accountability for his actions as his fans demanded. Hopefully this serves as a lesson on what not to wear for Halloween.
Starting off this countdown at number 10 is no other than Kylie Jenner. It is known that Kylie Jenner takes a lot of pride and effort in her appearance and fashion, especially for any kind of event. But this costume did not hit the mark. In 2015, Kylie dressed up as an apparent Eskimo, or at least that is what she said in her Instagram caption. Not only is the word Eskimo considered a slur that is highly offensive, but many were also upset because Inuit and Alaska Natives are real people, not costumes. So Kylie's fans were not impressed by the costume, and the only publicity she was getting was very negative. After being slammed with all the negativity, Kylie was quick to change her Instagram caption to Snow Princess instead. But by the time she changed the caption, the damage was already done and many people were already very upset with her initial costume. You can't just change the caption after you already did the costume. Snow Princess! That's all she could come up with. Moving along at number 9 is Heidi Klum. The former model is known for her eccentric costumes every year and showing up to wow the crowd. And she usually does. I'm usually very impressed with her costumes. But her costume in 2008 was not a hit and more of a miss. This is because the celebrity dressed as Kylie, the Hindu goddess of destruction. I hope I said that right. The costume consisted of her whole body being painted blue, a black wig, and a belt made of severed heads and hands. It was quite the sight. Though the celebrity was met with a ton of backlash as it was quite offensive to those who actually practice the religion. After her costume debut, the Hindu American leaders demanded an apology from Heidi with the claim that the goddess in the religion is to be worshipped in sacred temples, not for parties or for a publicity stunt. The former model responded saying that her assistant thought of the costume and that she gave her the okay to wear it. So she basically threw her assistant under the bus. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not sure what's worse, her costume or her response to the criticism, like putting blame. I'm not letting anyone tell me what's okay to wear. You get the final say, Heidi. Moving along to number 8 is Ashley Tisdale. The family-friendly Disney star found her acting success in the High School Musical movies. That being said, she stirred up quite a bit of controversy when she appeared at Vanessa Hudgens' 2016 party in a Day of the Dead inspired look. Let's be clear, Day of the Dead and Halloween are not the same, and the Day of the Dead is a Mexican celebration to honor deceased relatives. Therefore, fans slammed Ashley for her costume being extremely racist and offensive to some people. Her costume got her accused of appropriating Mexican culture and sexualizing their event. Ashley's husband would later go on to defend his wife, but the damage was already done. So his defense didn't work. While it was cute, it didn't work. Swiping through the numbers on this countdown, at number 7 is Paris Hilton. Being in the headlines for Paris was a good thing, usually it is, up until the negativity from her 2010 Halloween costume skyrocketed. Paris found herself at a Halloween party at the Playboy Mansion, dressed up as she stated, a Native American. The costume featured a headdress, feathers, beads, and an animal skin bikini. Many were quick to call her out with the highly offensive costume, but Paris didn't seem to care. You would think from all the negative backlash and disrespect that people would stay far away from a costume like that, especially after her backlash, but that would not be the case for Paris's own sister, Nikki Hilton, as 5 years after her sister's inappropriate and controversial costume, Nikki decided to dress up in the exact same one. Seems like the Hilton sisters did not learn their lesson the first time around. You can probably assume that this again was met with a lot of backlash in the media when Nikki wore it, especially since her sister already made that mistake in the first place. Moving up the chart at number 6, we have Hilary Duff and her then boyfriend Jason Walsh. During the celebrity's time on Disney, Hilary had to keep a very squeaky clean image, but after transitioning out of her Disney stardom, she was able to make decisions for herself. But this costume decision should not have been worn out in public, as in 2016, the couple costume of choice for them was a pilgrim and a native chief. As soon as the pictures of the two started circling on social media, a lot of people were upset. Not only is the costume offensive in itself, but this was at the time that there were protests against the Dakota Access Pipeline that would go through sacred grounds. So everything that could have been wrong with this costume was wrong. Hilary eventually took to Twitter to apologize though for her couple's costume and said that she was deeply sorry to people that she offended and that she did not properly think it through. So she took accountability and she apologized. So Stands for something, right? Up next at number 5, halfway through, we have Kate Hudson. The American actress and author is an award winner and has starred in some of the most romantic rom-coms as of How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, if you remember that one, and Bride Wars. I love How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Random fact, you're gonna be like, what the hell? I based my prom dress off her yellow dress in that movie. Anyways, no one cares. Just thought I'd throw it out there. But Kate shocked many people for her costume in 2014 as Dr. Luke. The distasteful costume featured the singer in scrubs and a name tag that reads, Dr. Luke, Gynecology Department. But the person she was dressing up as was not a doctor. She was imitating Dr. Luke, the music producer that abused Kesha over a period of 10 years. At the time, Luke and Kesha were in the middle of their lawsuit, so the costume was very off-putting to fans and just seemed like an awful decision. The media took this by storm and criticized her costume as it was very inappropriate for the time, and in general. It's possible though that her intentions for the costume were good to try and show her support for Kesha. However, if that was truly her intention, there are just better ways of showing your support. Taking our next spot at number 4, we have the American actor Colton Haynes. The celebrity is known for his outrageous and over-the-top Halloween costumes, but this one was not a fan favorite. For obvious reasons. Back in 2011, the actor wore blackface when dressing up as Kanye West, and he painted his whole body for the costume. The intention of going as Kanye West was not the problem, it was covering his whole body in dark brown paint. You would think Colton would learn from his past mistakes of controversial Halloween costumes, but that would not be the case. The following year, the actor dressed in blackface for a second time and painted his body for a Gandhi costume. Colton has since apologized for his controversial costumes and says that he was unaware that he was offending people with them and that it wasn't his intention. Making the very same mistake twice, like 2 years in a row, is pretty bad, and his career has just never been the same since then, to be honest, but I wonder why. Moving to our top 3 spots, at number 3 is the EDM duo The Chainsmokers. The music duo has produced Billboard-topping chart songs with artists like Justin Bieber, Coldplay, and Halsey. But the very popular musicians were met with backlash in 2014 after their, this is what it was called, Ebrola costume. Yes, you heard that right, Ebrola. I will explain. After performing at a university, the duo made their way to a fraternity after party where they showed up in a pretty controversial costume. The costume mocked the deadly disease Ebola, which at the time was a great epidemic in West Africa that had killed more than 5,000 people by that point. It's easy to say that their costume of a hazmat suit and fake mustaches of imitating health workers was pretty tone deaf during that time. Looking back on this controversy now in 2021, after going through a pandemic for the past 2 years, I don't think this costume would fly with anyone. I'm pretty sure people did stuff though in 2020 regarding the COVID costume thing. Quickly taking over number 2, we have Chris Brown. We all know that Chris is not new to controversial headlines and negative media coverage for good reasoning. But this incident would be one of the worst ones. In 2012, the singer showed up to a party hosted by Rihanna as a member of the Taliban. This costume shocked everyone on social media, especially because before the party, Chris tweeted a photo of himself and his friends dressed up with the caption, "Ain't nobody effing with my clique." Don't get me wrong, it's not totally surprising that Chris would do other offensive things like this, but it doesn't justify the blatant racism that was his costume. Fans of his were outraged, and to make matters worse, in an interview when he was questioned about the costume, instead of apologizing, he remorsefully said, "It's effing Halloween, get over it." Classy man. He's single, isn't he? I'm not surprised. Last but certainly not least, the number 1 spot on this countdown is going to Julianne Hough. This might not come as a surprise because in 2013, when Julianne dressed up in this costume, everyone on social media was talking about it for just how bad it is. People still talk about it. I mean, here I am. The Dancing with the Stars champion went out as the Orange is the New Black character, Crazy Eyes. Her costume was in very bad taste though, and landed her in major controversial headlines as the costume was blackface. Julianne and her friends all appeared to have gone as the cast of the show, but none of them seemed to think that Julianne's portrayal was offensive at the time that they were getting ready. Apparently, even actress Isla Fisher went up to Julianne at a party demanding that she go to the bathroom and wipe the makeup off her face. The actress who actually played the character on the show even talked about the controversy by saying the whole costume was a very unfortunate situation. After the incident, the backlash from the costume was so intense that Julianne came out with a statement saying that it was never her intention to be disrespectful and that she realizes now that her costume hurt and offended people, and this statement was followed with her apologizing. Thank God.